Tonight's mayoral debate is brought to you by Mediacom. Upgrade your life with Mediacom.
Live from the studios of Fox 31, the 2011 mayoral debate.
All right, good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the 2011 Albany mayoral debate. I'm joined this evening by the three candidates, B.J. Fletcher, Dorothy Hubbard, and John White. Now, we received questions this evening by video submission and on Facebook. Now, the format of the debate will be as follows. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to answer a question. Now, when I hold up a card, that'll be your 15-second warning. After that time, when your time's up, I'm going to ring a bell. That'll signal that we're out of time. Now, if any candidate refers to another candidate within their question, the candidate that was referred to will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's get started. The two main topics people asked about are jobs and education. Our first question was submitted on Facebook by Michael Frankovich. He says, quote, "What would you do to attract more business and industry to the area?" Ms. Hubbard, we're going to start with you.
All right. Well, we know that I know that education is an issue for us. And I will be working with the other educators in the city, the board members, the superintendent, and all of the colleges and technical colleges to look at jobs. And we want to be able to build jobs from those businesses that are already here in the city. And by working with the education experts, then we will be able to grow jobs from that. And we know that jobs and economic development are all these things are really crime, and all of it is affected by education and our skill sets for the jobs that are available.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. White, we're going to go to you. How would you attract more business and industry to the area?
Well, it's my plan to assemble a team of professionals from Albany Tech, Albany State, and Darton College to look at the kind of skills that we teach in these institutions. We will then look at the kind of industries across America that fit the skills that we teach. We will then go out and survey those areas that we'd like to have people in Albany to absorb the skills that we have taught in order to build more jobs for this community.
Okay, thank you very much. And B.J. Fletcher, your answer for how you would attract more business and jobs for Albany.
Well, when you're asking for people to uproot and come to Albany, you're asking them to spend millions of dollars, and you've got to work on an incentive package. And that's one thing that is very obvious, that we're not getting to second base when some of these companies are looking at us. One thing that I've said we're missing the boat on is agriculture. We've got the greatest land, the greatest water, the greatest climate, and agriculture is one of the things that we are missing here in the state of Georgia.
All right, thank all of you for that. Now, we're continuing with the jobs question. Our next jobs question is a video submission. This time it's from Jay Smith of the Economic Development Commission.
The Economic Development Commission is a partnership between the city, county, and business community. As mayor, how will you support the partnership, and what do you see the responsibilities of the mayor being related to economic development?
All right, I'm going to repeat that question really quick for you guys. So he asked, the Economic Development Commission is a partnership between the city, county, and business community. As mayor, how will you support the partnership, and what do you see the responsibilities of the mayor being in economic development? Mr. White, we're going to start with you this time.
The partnership between the three agencies and the community, and certainly in the mayor's office, will be a strong incentive, because you have a lot of talent and skills on the Economic Development Commission and throughout this community. So we have to work together to develop the kind of skills and to attract the kind of industry to Albany that we can support and that fits the skill bank of people that we have here.
Okay. Ms. Fletcher, we're going to ask you the same question about Economic Development Commission and the Office of the Mayor.
Well, the mayor is going to have to work with all of our leaders in this community, and the EDC and the chambers are the two most important entities that we have that will create jobs. We've got to know what they're doing at all times. You know, I've talked with both the EDC and the chamber, and I've asked them point blank, what is it you need from a mayor? What would you like to see me do when I become the next mayor? And they just need someone that will get in there, we get on the same page. When we ask these people to come to this community and they're bringing their money, We've got to show them how bad we want them, and we've got to let these people know that we are there to serve them.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. And Ms. Hubbard, your answer about the Economic Development Commission and the Office of Mayor.
Well, I too will work with the Economic Development Commission and the Chamber as we attempt to get jobs. The thing that I heard when I went to talk to Ted Clem and the Economic Development professionals is that they need a cheerleader for Albany. They need someone who will be ready when the jobs become or when there's a prospect. And so I will be available, being that I am retired and I will have the time. I have promised them that I will be available to assist in whatever way I'm needed.
All right, thank you very much. Now we're going to switch gears. A lot of people are asking about education, specifically in Dougherty County. Now here's a video question submission from the Dougherty County School Superintendent.
In any school district, there's always a public opinion. How can we help, and what will you do to help us change the public opinion of the Dougherty County school system?
Okay, and that was Dougherty County School System Superintendent Dr. Joshua Murphy. We're going to start with Ms. Fletcher.
Well, I've said I think Dr. Murphy is doing his job. We have strong personalities on that board, and sometimes those personalities overcloud the real issues. And we've got to sort out, you know, we were just handed down some results, and I think the stats were maybe 50 teachers were going to be losing their jobs. Nobody has said anything about the hundreds of teachers that are doing their jobs. We've got to sort out the good from the bad and work on what we have.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Now we're going to go to Ms. Hubbard.
I am willing to work with the superintendent and the board. I believe that the people of Albany want a board and elected officials who work together. I also believe that the Dougherty County school system should be tooting its own horn. There are a lot of young people who have gone through that system who have done very well. And when I met with Dr. Murphy, I shared with him that idea that perhaps we ought be getting that information out about what a great system we have, as opposed to always being critical about it. I know that there are some young people who have done quite well, who've gone through that system, and we ought to be sharing that with the public.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. White?
As mayor, I would work with the school system to put a new face on the education system here and work with the media, because people believe what they hear in the media most of the time. We have some great teachers, we have some really, really sharp students in our school system, but we have to expose them and their great talents. We have to work with the media, number one, because the media here is the face of the rest of the community in terms of what you see is and what you believe is to be the case. So we have to put a very strong and bright face. We have to show many of the bright students and the success that they are having.
All right, thank you very much. That wraps up round one for us. We'll have much more after the break. All right, welcome back to Fox 31's 2011 Albany mayoral debate. We're going to jump right into another hot topic, crime. Now, this question comes from Facebook. Donna Bradwell Sumlin wants to know, how will you assist the Albany Police Department to reduce crime and stop gang activity? Ms. Hubbard, we're going to go with you on this one first.
Okay. I have already begun that process as a commissioner. I have certainly worked with the Albany Police Department and the officers and the chief to do setups and watches in the various neighborhoods. I have also introduced Code Red for Crime to the police department just before I left, and for this community. I supported the gang task force, the formulation of the gang task force when I was on the commission. We have a new mobile unit coming on board that was approved in SPLOS that will certainly help us to be able to watch crime. And we have a number of cameras that are being placed in different areas. And so that's going to really, really help us. I will be willing to work and will continue to work to prevent crime in our city and with our chief.
All right, thank you very much. Next, to answer the question of crime, Ms. Fletcher.
Well, yes, she is right. We do have a new mobile unit coming, but in July, when we had one of our commissioner meetings, We were told by one of the city leaders that it was not being ordered yet because they wanted to sit on the money and draw some more interest. We've got to give the equipment to our leaders that's needed to get out here and fight this crime. We've got to take the neighborhoods over ourselves. We have tremendous neighborhood watches. We've got to take responsibility and do things for ourselves and use what we have in place. Just a few seconds ago, you said crime is down 17%. We've got to give credit where credit is due. We have crime, but within 24 hours, our law enforcement is catching a majority of our criminals. We just need to continue doing what we're doing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. And again, to Mr. White to address the issue of crime.
To address that, we have to start at the root of it. There are a lot of crime in this community that's being committed by young people who have nothing to do. We have to begin to have activities for our young people. I've been speaking with the relatives of Evander Holyfield, and part of what I'm going to do is have a boxing gym in this community supported by Holyfield and others to get some of the aggression out of our young men and young women and teach them while they're there, to give them some self-confidence and give them some skills that they do not now have, and to be able to help them give them another avenue rather than committing crimes, to work towards something that's very positive for themselves and our community.
Okay, thank you.
Could I say something about that?
He didn't directly address you. I'm sorry. We're going to have to move on. Thank you for your answers right now on that. Stay tuned. We have many more questions coming up right after the break. All right, welcome back to Fox 31's 2011 Albany mayoral debate. Now, our next question for the candidates comes from Joel Wernick, who's the CEO of Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital.
My question is, Albany has always been a regional collector in retail, healthcare, professional services, and we're influenced a great deal by what happens throughout our region. So the question I have is, if elected mayor, what will you do to create more collaborative efforts with regional counties and communities, because a job created anywhere in the region ultimately has the potential to have a positive effect here on Albany's economy.
Okay, we're talking about health care now. We're going to go to Mr. White for that question.
I will work with communities around South Georgia and around us to build relationships with them so that we'll continue to support our community. The relationships that we build with other mayors and other commissioners in the surrounding area certainly can foster income for this community. Healthcare is certainly one of those things that has to be dealt with and has to be of good character. In order to support our local area, we must continue to have relationships.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. Now, again, talking about healthcare, we're going to go to Ms. Hubbard.
Well, you know, I have already started that process, the process of going around to the various communities, meeting with mayors to help them understand what the regional process really is, and to help them understand how being regional and collaborating regionally will benefit all of us. I am also enrolled in the Economic Development Academy that helps us determine and describes for us how our region is working. And so if we don't understand that we need to work together regionally, then none of us will benefit. And so in order to move and build a championship team, it is going to take all of us in this region and in the city working together. And healthcare, and that's not only with healthcare, that's with all of the other things that are going on in our city. We are going to have to work together, and we're going to have to see this in a regional concept.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. And again, talking about healthcare, now we're going to go to BJ Fletcher.
Well, I'm going to give you an example. You got Dallas, Fort Worth. You've got Dougherty County, you've got Lee County, and you've got all the Lee counties, all of the other counties that are beside us. We are the hub of Southwest Georgia. We are the medical hub of Southwest Georgia, and we're growing every day. And wherever the dollars come from, the bigger we can build in health care and other strong businesses, we're going to get the dollars from our neighbors. And that is how communities survive. We've got to do whatever we can do to get the dollars here. And we've got to, if we can help our neighbors by building stronger on what they have, the dollars are just going to circulate.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, those were the candidates talking about health care. Now, right after the break, we're going to hear a question from our partner, the Albany Herald. All right, welcome back to Fox 31's 2011 Albany mayoral debate. Now we have a question from Mike Gebhardt, publisher of the Albany Herald.
A key issue in Albany that virtually everyone is aware of is poverty. It's reached epidemic proportions, and I believe coupled closely with that is the teen pregnancy issue. I would like to know, if you're elected mayor, what you will do specifically to attack poverty and teen pregnancy in Albany, Georgia.
Okay, again, that was our partner, the Albany Herald, asking specifically about poverty and teen pregnancy. Mr. White, we're going to go to you to start off that question.
Poverty can be worked on by a strong education system, teaching the skills that our young people need. Sometimes poverty is not because you don't have money, it's a mindset. We have to work on those issues through education. Certainly we can support those people who are in poverty, have lived in poverty for some times, in any way that we can choose to keep them alive and well. But to solve the poverty issue, we must have more and better and a variety of education.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Again, we're sticking with the issue of teen pregnancy and poverty. That question from the Albany Herald. Ms. Hubbard, we're going to go to you now.
All right. I will, and I have already started working on how I will put together a team to work on education. I too believe that education is the key to that. I've also always told you that I would support the Strive to Thrive initiative that is working directly with poverty in our community. But to me, education is really the key, and it's the key to all of this because many of these things are like spirals. And so when one thing is affected or one thing happens, then the other is affected. But I will definitely work with Strive to Thrive and work toward increasing the numbers there so that we could improve poverty in our area.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And again, going to B.J. Fletcher, talking with the Albany Herald, asking specifically about poverty and teen pregnancy.
Well, poverty is probably the #1 industry in Albany, Georgia. And the people that make a living off of poverty, they need to be stopped. And as far as the teen pregnancy, education is the first way to try to get a handle on it. But I'm just here to ask you and everybody else that's listening tonight, all of these hundreds of young babies that we see having babies, has any doctor ever walked out of that operating room and called our chief of police or our attorney general and said, let's find the man that done this? That's just what I need to ask. Somewhere you've got to kick in with some common sense. And who's getting these babies pregnant? Who's keeping these people in poverty? They're making a living off of this, and we've got to face it and meet it head on. Thank you.
All right, thank you for addressing the issue of teen pregnancy and poverty. That question again from the Albany Herald. Now, after the break, we're going to have much more on the 2011 Albany mayoral debate on Fox 31. Welcome back. You're watching the Fox 31 News 2011 Albany mayoral debate. Our next question comes from Facebook. Harold Dabney says, quote, as of right now, Albany has a very few things to keep young professionals here or make them want to come to our community. What incentives will you bring to make young professionals stay in Albany or want to come to Albany? We're going to start off with Ms. Fletcher for that question.
Well, I think Aaron Blair and Attica addressed that tonight. Arts and council downtown, and we've got to just look and see what the young people want. We have to maintain. We are the greatest exporter of our young people, and we've got to find out what they want. We've got to work on our parks, our river, our golfing, the talents that we have here. We've just got to do everything we can to keep them. We got to capitalize on what we have.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're going to go again talking about young professionals, how to get them to stay here, and those who are out of town, how to get them to come here. Now we're going to go to Mr. White to answer that question about young professionals.
I think we have to become a little bit more cosmopolitan in our city. We have to have a few more finer restaurants, and we have to have a few more activities. The arts was mentioned, I believe. We have some great activities. We've got the Ray Charles Center here, and we're working on the Ray Charles Museum to come to Albany. Those are the kinds of things I think young professionals would want. a better caliber of entertainment for the young professionals who would come to Albany. We must clean up our city, of course, so that it can look a little better. We have to do a lot of landscaping and a lot of trimming of trees to make sure that our city looks good enough for people who want to come and want to stay once they're here.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Again, we're talking about young professionals now in Albany, staying in Albany, and potentially coming to Albany. Now moving on to Ms. Hubbard, what would you do for young professionals?
Well, I agree that we must have more activities and more cultural events for them to want to stay here with us. But I also think that we have to get them involved in what is already going on here. There are a number of nonprofit, a number of those kinds of activities that are going on that we need to be encouraging young people to be involved in. And I don't think that we do enough of that, and that would be one of the things that I would be doing. I would be looking for young people to serve on the various councils and to get them involved in attending commission meetings and water, gas, and light meetings and those kinds of things. I think that once they are involved in their community, then they can bring the ideas to us of what they want and what they need in order to stay here. And we also know that we need the good jobs for them to want to stay here. So there will be a number of things that we can do, a number of discussions that we can have that would allow us to determine what needs to be done.
All right, thank you very much. Everyone answering the question about young professionals and what they would do. Now we're going to have more in the 2011 Albany mayoral debate that's coming up right after the break. All right, we're down to our final question for the mayoral candidates in the 2011 Fox 31 Albany mayoral debate, and here it is. Donna Bradwell Sumlin asked, what have you personally done in the past year to better Albany since you're running for mayor? With this one, we're going to start with Mr. White.
What have I personally done in the last year?
Yes, sir.
I've worked with some young people in this community, spoken to college students here in both Albany Tech as well as Albany State, sort of informing them of where we are as a community, who we are, how we got to be where we are, and where we need to go as a community. We must fill the void of that was left here after the flood. We have a lot of information, a lot of buildings, a lot of cleaning up that we must do. So I've shared a lot of information with our young people in terms of getting them involved in this community and getting them involved in the political side of things, because that pretty much controls the rest of life.
Okay, moving on to that same question about what have you specifically done in the last year since you're running for mayor, BJ Fletcher.
Well, I've created jobs. I tackled downtown a year and a half ago, and I've been a big part of revitalizing downtown. Against all odds, when people said that I couldn't do it, I went out there and I'm a big part of the reason downtown is here. And it's not just talking with somebody, I put my money where my mouth was, and it's working. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now we're going to finish out with Ms. Hubbard answering the question, what have you specifically done in this past year?
I have met with a number of young people at the various schools. I've read to the students at Sivendale Pre-K. I've gone to Lincoln and talked about Government 101 and how government works. I've spoken with the Family Connection students and talking with them about this city and who's their commissioner and how to get involved in the work. I have gone to neighborhoods to help to do cleanups. We've been to neighborhood watch meetings. We've walked down in the trailer parks to make sure that they were being cleaned up. We've gone out to the demolitions that have been going on and carried on by the Code Enforcement Department. I have been out in my ward really working with alleys and watching those cleanups in the alleys. And I have been to Heath Park to help with the cleanup over there and making sure that they had the improvements that they needed. And those are just a few of the many things that I've done.
Okay, thank you very much. They just threw me for a loop right now. They just told me to ask one more question, so I have my backup sheet right here. And here's a question from Ashley Branch. She submitted this question via Facebook. She's asking, what would you personally do to cut back on the corruption that is running this city? For this one, we're going to start off with Ms. Hubbard.
Well, I think that we have to always be mindful of what is going on in our city by a continuous monitoring. The processes that we have, looking into them, always reviewing them. So if there was or is corruption going on, I would be on top of that in terms of reviewing and monitoring. I'm always asking the question, how will we monitor this? How do we keep up with this? How will we know? And so I will be, looking at it in terms of how we can stop anything that's going on that should not be going on.
Thank you for that answer. Again, same question. We're going to move to John White to ask, how would you specifically stop corruption in the city of Albany?
Well, first of all, I'd have to know that there is corruption, and I don't know that, so I don't have a solution for what I don't know. Maybe Ashley, who asked that question, knows there is corruption. Then I would encourage Ashley to go to the proper law enforcement agencies to expose the kind of corruption that she knows about, and then that will tend to help us clear it if there is corruption.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And then again, same question about what would you do to specifically cut down on corruption in the city of Albany. Ms. Fletcher.
Well, I'm here to tell you we do have corruption, and we've got to admit it, and we've got to open up our books, and we've got to face it head on. We've got corruption from various parts of this community. Again, I have said there is people that want to keep us in poverty. They are making a living by keeping this community in poverty. I have looked at the budget from 2006 to 2010. It seems like at times we have two sets of books, and we've got to roll up our sleeves, face the facts, get the people involved, even if it means reaching outside of Albany and asking agents to come in and help us.
All right, that's going to end it for us. That was a pretty heavy question right there. Thank you again for joining us. This 2011 Albany mayoral debate by Fox 31. Again, thank you to all the candidates who came here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. We know that our viewers do as well. Thank you for everyone at Fox 31 who made this happening. Thank you for watching both online and on air. And you can always catch us 24/7 on our website, mysouthwestga.com. I'm Romney Smith, and for everyone here at Fox 31, thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening.